Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Tuesday, November 29th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The game against Michigan in 361 days. The game against Michigan 2022 edition did not go great for Ohio State on the field on Saturday, but that day may actually turn out okay on the recruiting front. The Buckeyes had a loaded visitor list for the game, and normally you would think that, hey, they lost, they didn't look great, very disappointing weekend, campus probably not really hopping on Saturday night, that would equal just disaster on the recruiting front, and that turns out that's really not necessarily always the case. Alex Gleitman has been covering this recruiting weekend and talking to a bunch of the guys who were there visiting this weekend. And Alex, I think one thing that people really need to understand is that even if the team loses on the field, that does not necessarily mean you're not going to get anyone who is there for that weekend. Not everyone who is there just writes the team off if you lose one game.
Yeah, I don't want to minimalize anyone's feelings. I think everyone has a right to be angry, upset, devastated, depressed, etc., whatever it is. It's in a reasonable level when you're talking about a sports game. But the recruits that I spoke to, and this goes not just this game, but any game, any year, these kids are far less concerned with how Ohio State did when they're talking about picking their school for the next 4 to 5 years that impacts the rest of their lives. Obviously, anyone who was there wanted to see a win. They were disappointed that, Ohio State couldn't get the job done against Michigan. But everyone, you got to remember, Lincoln Kienholz coming here from South Dakota. Imagine going into Ohio Stadium for that atmosphere, 106,000 fans. Yes, the game didn't go the way he wanted, but that experience is a once-in-a-lifetime type of experience that he's never seen in his life, even if he's been to other college games. So that atmosphere, just the whole vibe on campus, the fans, everything, it was just a great time. And the staff, obviously, they were upset. We would love for them to be in better moods, but they spend plenty of time with these. They understand, you can't just be moping and doping around the Woody Hayes Athletic Center after that game when you're talking about trying to cater to these recruits. So all these kids that were there, not one person said, I didn't have a good time. It stunk that Ohio State lost. It ruined my visit. Everyone spoke very highly of their visits and was really positive that, hey, look, tough loss. Ohio State will get them next time.
All right. So I have 4 guys I wanted to talk to you about, and you can get the rest of the details on everyone else on campus on our huddle board at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Alex puts a ton of great insider information out there. But we're going to be talking about 4 of the guys who are visiting this weekend. One of them was the guy you mentioned, Lincoln Kienholz. He is a quarterback out of South Dakota who has just sort of sprung onto the Ohio State radar in the last month or so. Visited on Saturday. Where do things stand with him? He's still technically committed to Washington as of the time we're recording this. So where do things stand with him and the Buckeyes right now?
Yeah, great visit. I think it's clear just talking to Lincoln that I think Ohio State's concern coming in was that other people are maybe putting in his ear that he's kind of like this filler recruit in between Dylan Raiola and Devin Brown, Kyle McCord, and that, he'll never play at Ohio State. And their message just to him the whole weekend was, if we didn't think you were good enough to play at Ohio State, we wouldn't be recruiting you. We absolutely believe that you can play here. We're going to develop you. You're going to have every opportunity to win a job when one comes open. And I think that was received really well by Lincoln. Now, he's going home to South Dakota. He's going to sit and think about things the next few weeks. He's going to have in-home visits from Washington. He's going to have in-home visits from Ohio State. And he told me he's going to make a decision on early signing day, which is December 21st. So, you're going to have to keep it tuned into Buckeye Huddle as we get developments, updates over the next few weeks. But I feel that, he's when I asked him flat up, are you thinking about flipping to Ohio State and he said potentially. So I think it's just something he's trying to be very methodical about, not too emotional, not too reactionary. I tend to think that he does end up in this Ohio State class, but it's not the like some other guys we're going to talk about here in a second. I don't think it's yes, this is happening, done deal. I don't think anything went wrong on the visit. I think it was an excellent visit. Ohio State did everything they needed to do. This kid just gave his word to Washington, and now there's a new opportunity in front of him, and he has to evaluate it, and he's just going to have to see which opportunity is better because there's pros and cons to each. And Washington certainly isn't a slouch of a program. They're a top, 20 program, maybe top 15 after this week, and, they get an exciting new coach, and he's going to have an opportunity to probably go there and play fairly early. So we'll see.
And, you mentioned them getting guys on campus, and they generally do a very good job with getting guys on campus. And one thing I've heard you say over and over again is once you get someone on campus, you've got a chance, or you won't believe they've got a chance until they get the guy on campus and have that sort of swing at him. They got 5-star safety Caleb Downs on campus for the Michigan game. How did they go? Did they make the most of their swing with Caleb Downs?
Caleb Downs, I mean, look, I know it's been reported he left the game early, the visit didn't go well. I'm not hearing that at all. I mean, I've spoke to multiple Ohio State people, some other people who would know, and every indication I have is that this visit went very, very well. I put a note on the huddle board on BuckeyeHuddle.com, so if you remember, go check that out. I don't want to give away too much because our paying members, I want them to get the goods, but I think the sentiment was that this visit went really well. Nobody expected Ohio State to come in and come out of the weekend with a flip of Caleb Downs. The good news is that I think Caleb gave the staff every indication that he's still open to Ohio State, and he's basically just going to be thinking about things until signing day, and then he'll make a final decision. So, again, you'll get in-homes from Alabama, Ohio State, probably Georgia. I'd expect Tim Walton or Perry Eliano to be down there at least once a week until signing day, starting on Friday when things open back up again. Maybe the advantage of not playing this weekend is being able to get down there this weekend or get out and see some other recruits as well. But I think Ohio State is in this thing. I don't have them necessarily winning it just yet, but I want to see how things develop over the next 3 weeks because this is a kid who keeps things close to the vest. But Ohio State felt like they checked all the boxes on this visit, and they are still in the game for Caleb Downs, which is all they can ask for right now.
Another player the Buckeyes are trying to flip from an SEC school is defensive end Joshua Mickens. Now, much like Downs, he was in town despite being committed to another team. Mickens committed to LSU. He'd just been in Columbus a couple weeks ago, so getting him back on campus for a second time in 2 weeks seemed like a pretty big deal. And Alex, it sounds like that the second visit went pretty darn well.
Yeah, I think Ohio State's going to get Joshua Mickens. He told me likely decision coming this week about if he's sticking with LSU or going to flip to Ohio State. I firmly believe he is going to flip to Ohio State. I'd honestly almost be surprised if he did not end up as a Buckeye at the end of this week. Now, emotions coming off after a visit are always, you want to come down from that visit high and then make a rational decision, not just one-off emotions. But I think Ohio State did enough with Joshua Mickens, I guess 2-3 weeks ago, whenever the Indiana game was, when he came for that unofficial visit, and now throughout this weekend when he came for his official visit. I think staying closer to home, look, Ohio State's going to lose some defensive ends, not only this year, but after next year as well. So chance to potentially play early, make an impact. I think Ohio State is going to be the place for Joshua Mickens.
And the fourth guy I wanted to ask you about, someone who is in kind of the opposite position of the last couple of guys we talked about. Instead of being someone else who is committed elsewhere, who Ohio State is trying to flip to the Buckeyes, tight end Jelani Thurman has been committed to the Buckeyes for quite a while now, but has been to Auburn enough over the last few months that I think it has to be a little bit of a concern for Ohio State. Now, Auburn still, as of the time we're recording this, has not hired a new head football coach. And with it being Auburn, Lord only knows where this one's going. But you get Jelani Thurman back on campus, I think with the hope that you can sort of secure things and really lock things down so there's, you avoid some drama in the lead up to early signing day. What's the latest with Ohio State and tight end Jelani Thurman?
Yeah, I think, this was a great visit for Ohio State, get him on campus. Obviously, again, result didn't go as planned, but I think Jelani saw an opportunity to make a difference at the tight end position at Ohio State. Ohio State went to Cade Stover in many clutch spots in this game. Obviously, they didn't convert on many of those, but I think he sees the use of Ohio State with the tight end in the passing game all year long. I think that's got to excite him, and their plans for him, who's an even better receiver than probably anyone they've had. They've laid those out. He's very comfortable at Ohio State, great relationship with Kevin Wilson, Ryan Day, a lot of the players. I think, Jelani told me he is not taking any more visits until signing day, and he is locked in with Ohio State. That's where he's going to sign. So, look, this is a kid who took a visit to Auburn, I think it was like a week or two after he committed to Ohio State over the summer. His sister does go there, so I have to point that out, even though he's been very clear to say he's very interested in that program. But I do think while Hugh Freeze is a very good coach, great recruiter, I don't know if that was the hire that Jelani was necessarily looking for. If they hired, Lane Kiffin, that could have been a little bit different of a situation. I think for now, I feel like Jelani Thurman will sign with Ohio State, but I'm still, until they get that signature in, I'm still going to be a little uneasy. But everything he's saying is that he will sign with Ohio State.
Well, those are certainly going to be 4 recruitments to watch over the next few weeks as we head down the home stretch before early signing day in just a couple weeks. Thanks, as always, to Alex, who is, again, absolutely killing it on the huddle board at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Tons of great information. Every time we have Alex on, we just barely scrape the surface on the stuff that he's reporting for all of our members at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Again, if you are interested in this kind of information, you want to hear more, you want to see Alex's sort of post-signing day deep dive on the stories inside all the recruitments, always one of the most popular stories all year. Got to be a member at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Sign up today. Should be a very interesting and eventful next couple weeks heading into early signing day and then into transfer portal season and college football playoffs, potentially Rose Bowl, potentially. Going to be a lot to talk about over the next month or two at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Alex also had a really, really interesting and insightful column this week about the people calling for Ryan Day's head right now after the loss to Michigan. Everyone understands everyone's upset, but Alex wrote a column that was essentially, be careful what you wish for. That was actually the title of it. It was maybe the best written thing I've seen on the whole situation. Just, there are pros, there are cons to all of the decisions, and a very, very interesting and insightful look at that. Again, you can find that one at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That is a free one. So again, check out BuckeyeHuddle.com. We got a lot of great free content. Also, even more great stuff on our huddle board, which is members only. So consider signing up today. It is the price of a lousy chain store pizza, less than 50 cents a day. Sign up, and I think you are going to enjoy your membership and learn a lot more about Ohio State football, Ohio State basketball, and all the other stuff you care about, all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.